So I'm back at the park swing where I cried my eyes out after I was fired from my dream job. But who cares? Now I'm smiling because I think it's called the clown pill. Everything is just really funny, how stupid everything is. And I don't have any more commitments, so I'm spending my time on the park bench on the park swing and at the beach. So until then, until something is resolved, I'm enjoying life as much as I can, especially my freedom. Several things that you should know about to show that this is all coordinated is that Israeli doctors are also trying to deny treatment for those who are unjabbed, just like I think it's happening in the Mayo Clinic, where there was news that an administrator tried encouraging the doctors not to give treatment to those who were unjabbed. Same thing with Prime Minister Bennett, who's the illegitimate Prime Minister of Israel, and because he stole power by consolidating the left and the right against Bibi. Not that Bibi is any better, he sold us to slavery, but at least he was legitimately elected. So the same day or the same week, Joe Biden said that his patience is wearing thin for the unjabbed, was the same week that Bennett said the exact same thing. And the third thing that's coordinated is those of you who know the name Veronica Walski. She's the woman who protested on a bridge in the USA for medical freedom, and when she got COVID, they denied her ivermectin and they didn't release her from the hospital, and they gave her what do you call that stupid drug that causes kidney failure? Remdesivir. Even though she had someone with power of attorney trying to get her out, with doctors and nurses and political activists and lawyers, and still the hospital wouldn't let her out. And they said that her friends and her power of attorney friend said that there's an ambulance waiting to take her home and people willing to give her hospice care, and still the hospital said that they wouldn't let her out because there's no ambulance to take her home or give her hospice care. So basically they murdered her. That was obvious, and it was also obvious that they used her as a tool because she was a so-called anti-jabber. And the exact same thing happened this week with an Israeli protester. His name is Chai Shaulian. His story is that he was in a protest in Jerusalem, and the Jerusalem police beat him up like crazy, and they arrested him. He spent, I think, the night or the 2 nights, I don't know, in jail. And after he got out, he said that they gave him something that felt like poison. And then he turned out to be COVID positive. He went to the hospital because he couldn't breathe, and they put him on oxygen. That's all we know for now, because everything we know until now is that he is from his vlogs that he was making while he was dying. He is well known for carrying an Israeli flag and a megaphone and just protesting. And every Saturday, by the way, those of you who don't know, that many Israeli people still protest every single week. Unfortunately, I can't, but because there's no public transportation on the Sabbath, and the protests are usually in Tel Aviv. But he protested every single weekend in Tel Aviv, along with thousands, I don't know how many Israelis. So I keep saying that the majority of Israelis are brainwashed and jabbed and all that, which is true, but there's still a very active and very smart minority, which is comprised of every single stream of Judaism, and not just Judaism. It's the minorities who got hurt first because they were subverted into taking this jab with all kinds of by all kinds of manipulative ways. For example, I think it's our new, some kind of a health minister. I can't remember what his job description is, but they put an Arab to be an assistant to the health minister because they wanted to jab the Arab population, and thankfully they will not have that. So at least, you know, the mistrust of the Israeli Arabs at the Israeli government is at least justified this time. Not just this time, and I say this as a conservative, but you know, the peaceful people shouldn't mistrust the police and the democracy, and yet now we don't. I mean, now we do. I'm a huge fan of Michael Malice, especially now that I think every conservative who understands human rights and medical rights has become suddenly a fan of Michael Malice. I love the way he thinks, but I just don't agree with him on anarchy. But I think that those of you who think the system should be abolished or burned down, I think the only thing I disagree with him on is that we made incredible democracies, and just the fact that they were subverted doesn't mean that we should abolish them. It just means that we, the people, have to fix them. Because if we don't, I think that the way we now see free democracies is the best balance between complete anarchy, which is completely susceptible to huge corporations and conglomerates and mergers and things like that taking over areas. I actually think that nationalism in countries is the best way to implement anarchy the way Michael Malice wants it to be implemented, without making, I don't know, Viking wars and without killing each other in the street. I know that it's a misconception, but I don't care. I think that there's communism on one side where the state is everything, and anarchy on the other side where the state is nothing. But I think that humanity, at least before COVID or before the system was completely subverted by people with their own interests, financial mostly and political, I think that we actually found the perfect balance. And I just realized that even if the system is completely corrupt and it's never worked the way that we thought it did, it's still made up of good people. I mean, those of us who vote. I don't mean those who rule us. And I think that it's up to us to reconstruct that system the way we saw it before we were red-pilled. That's it for now. Thank you for listening.